So here we're going to talk about drafting in the urban interface area. Typically, you've got to have a good water shuttle situation set up. Right now we have 2 porta tanks set up on the ground because we're going to be supplying 2 hand lines and a deluge gun for today's training. The more water you got on the ground, the better. The more tenders you have in operation, the better, because you always got water on the ground moving from one place to the other. You've either got an empty tender moving to a hydrant, or you got a full tender coming back to your location. Here we've set up for drafting. We're setting up for drafting. We've taken our hard suction, put it into our intake, our large diameter intake, and put a jet siphon, or excuse me, a foot strainer on the end to weigh it down. It's a low foot strainer because it can go all the way down to about 2 inches of water left into the tank. It also siphons out all the big crap that we don't want in there, rocks, dead fish, or if we're drafting out of a porta pond or somebody else's lake. So it'll keep all the big debris out of it. The big thing about drafting is to make sure you got an airtight seal on the foot strainer and into your LDH. What we have built into our LDH is a ball valve, so once we get draft, we can close this down and will not lose it when we're doing firefighting operations. For some reason we had to move this porta tank for some reason, or we had to move the truck, we can keep draft in this hard suction. With our hard suction into the water, what we do is make sure our pump's engaged. We open our ball valve. A lot of engines have the primer. A lot of engineers don't know what it's used for. This is what we have: a waterless pump. It thieves some water out of our pump, throws it in the pump, creates a seal, and creates a low pressure inside the pump. Just if you're sucking on a straw at McDonald's, when you're sucking on the straw, you're not typically sucking, you're just changing the pressure in your lungs to make that water or juice or whatever it is rise up out of the cup into your mouth. Same thing goes here. We're changing the pressure in the pump from the pressure in the tank, creating a low pressure inside the pump to make the water move from the tank into the pump. Gravity's acting on us. Gravity wants to push this water out of this tank and up through this hard suction hose. That's what we're doing here. We're just creating an opportunity to change the pressure inside the pump for that water to move inside. Once the water's inside and we've got a good draft, we can then start water flow operations to whatever firefight we're using. We've also set up jet siphoning. Jet siphoning, we can use one of our discharge, about 100 psi. We hook it into another foot strainer into another one of the porta tanks, and it allows us to move water from porta tank to porta tank. Depends on how many outlets you have on your engine, you can set up porta tanks. We have 8 outlets on this engine, so we can set up 7 porta tanks if need be, so we can move a lot of water up to this engine to help a firefight out.
Strainering. Set it in there.
We're gonna, before you just set it off to the side, we're gonna back them up and down.
Is the drain closed?
Yeah, it's over there. Well, that one.